I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Russian strike on Ukrainian village kills 2 women, injures child. A Russian strike on a market in the Ukrainian village Shevchenkov killed 2 women and injured 3 other women and a 10-year-old girl Monday, Ukrainian officials said. The Kharkiv Regional Prosecutor's Office said in a statement on Telegram that Russian troops fired rockets using an S-300 missile system from the Belgorod region in Russia. In the morning, the Russian army committed another terror against the civilian population, the statement reads. Prosecutors, together with police investigators, recorded the consequences of the armed aggression of the Russian Federation and collected material evidence. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry added in a statement that none of the victims were military targets. Russian forces gained ground Monday around the city of Bakhmut in the Donetsk province of the Donbas region of Ukraine, which Moscow has been trying to seize for months. Bakhmut holds on despite everything, and although most of the city has been destroyed by Russian strikes, our soldiers repel constant attempts of Russian offensives there, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in his nightly address Sunday. Soledar holds on, although there is even more destruction and it is very difficult. The provinces of Donetsk and Luhansk together make up the larger Donbas region in eastern Ukraine. Donbas has been largely held by pro-Russian separatists since the Ukrainian territory of Crimea was illegally annexed by Russia in 2014. Russian President Vladimir Putin recognized Luhansk and Donetsk as independent republics before the start of the invasion on February 24 and illegally annexed the region into Russia in the fall, despite Ukrainian forces still controlling much of the area. Zelensky described the areas around Bakhmut and Soledar as one of the bloodiest places on the front line. Hanna Maliar, the Deputy Defense Minister of Ukraine, said in a statement Sunday that Ukrainian forces are regaining territory in the Donetsk region, little by little, step by step, though conceded that the situation is complicated. Serhiy Haidai, the head of the Luhansk Regional Military Civil Administration, told Ukrainian television on Sunday that winter weather was creating problems for both Russia and Ukraine. In a day or two, it will freeze seriously, and it will be possible to drive normally without worrying about the fact that a tank or other equipment might get stuck, Haidai said. I hope that the advantage will be on our side. Area attendances at hospital for the mounting crisis within Scotland's health service. In a speech defending Health Secretary Humza Yousaf this morning, she said, hospitals right now are currently almost completely full. Turned to Facebook and her government is running a series of adverts where the government's clinical director, Jason Leach, advises patients to seek help online as well as more messaging saying the country is facing unprecedented levels of flu and COVID. But is Scotland's NHS really seeing more demand than ever before? Statistics on hospital attendances suggest not. In the week to Christmas Day, 22,892 Scots turned up at A&E departments. But in the same week before lockdown, ending the 29th of December 2019, there were over 25,000 attendances. In fact, as the below graph shows, since the pandemic began, there have only been 5 weeks where emergency attendances have risen above the average for 2019, but A&Es are performing worse than ever. Just this morning, the Scotsman splashed with a warning from senior medics that Scottish emergency departments are not safe. Looking at the figures, it's easy to see why. Some 1,900 patients waited over 12 hours for treatment, and nearly half of those turning up at Scottish emergency departments are not seen within the 4-hour target time. So why is all this happening if demand on services is lower than before the pandemic? The government points to bed blocking, though the majority of hospital beds are occupied by people who need to be there. Many of the people Sturgeon and Yousaf describe as unnecessary attendances will be sick people at their wits' end. They may not be at death's door, but if they can't get seen by their GP and have found the online and phone services as useless as many people seem to, then can we blame them for turning up in A&E? It's not staffing either. Government press officers were keen to point out last March that the health service workforce has increased every year for the last 10. There are more staff per head of the population than in England too, yet the two countries face near identical problems. Maybe then, the people arriving at Scottish hospitals are in worse nick than they were before COVID struck. Virus infections and lockdowns, which were longer and harsher in Scotland, have led to increased heart attacks and strokes. Cancer diagnoses fell off a cliff during lockdowns, and at one stage Scotland had the highest rate of excess deaths in Britain. It seems likely all this is coming to a head. All the more strange then that the government would want to discourage use of the health service again. Sturgeon's words could prove dangerous. We know that any policy that discourages use of the service just stores up problems for the future, even if it provides short-term relief. The SNP can't just blame winter bugs either. BMA Scotland's deputy chair was clear on this over the weekend, saying, "This isn't down to flu. This isn't down to COVID. It definitely isn't the fault of any patients and unnecessary attendances." But yet again, the SNP seem intent on kicking the can further down the road.
The SP MAGTF is a rotational crisis response force